Okay, I see we're streaming live. I see that we are recording.
We are live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
Yep, just waiting for the YouTube to pop up. And there we are. Okay, great. Good evening. The time is now 6:30 p.m. I'm Chairman Mike Curry, and I'd like to call the Select Board Business Meeting to order on the 7th day of April, 2021. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that not only are we being streamed live on TCTV Cable Station 8 in our YouTube web platform, but this evening's recording will be available for later viewing on our YouTube channel. All of the live comments will be retained and can be seen right along with that recording. Just do a quick roll call for our quorum. We have Terry Toth, thank you very much. Meets our quorum for this evening. I can see that we're also joined by Adam LaMontagne, Chief Dave Dickey, Chief Mike Bennett, DPW Director Bob Sozik, as always, our TCTV team, Emergency Management Director Rich Curtis, our Executive Assistant Holly Young, and I think that's it for who I can see right now. Yep. All right, as always, our agenda for this evening has been set no later than 48 hours out by law. It is publicly available at the official source for town information. That would be templetonma.gov. Although I have the discretion as chairperson to add and remove from the agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and public awareness. I reserve the right to move agenda around items to best fit our business and guests. Thanks. Public participation and comment is still possible via the chat section of the live stream on our YouTube feed. I and TCTV are monitoring the chat section and will address comments and questions as they appear or when appropriate. Remember, this chat area is part of the permanent record, so if it isn't already apparent, please make sure that your name is stated as you would during town meeting. Most YouTube names can be informal, so it's important to do that. And the live second is about 10 to 20 seconds behind the live meeting, so I do take that into account. We are on Zoom, so if you have business before the board, it's best to use video. You do not, if you're not on the board or have business in front, you can always turn off your video until it's your turn to speak. Speaking of speaking, please use the mute feature when not speaking. TCTV can control as they say, hot mics, or someone who may not know that they're off mute, but it is easier for you to control your own button. If you do wish to speak, you may raise your hand so we can see it. You can use the raise hand feature in Zoom, or just politely break in if you are only on the telephone. If you wish to see material shared in the screen, please request that of the chair, and please refer to what document. This will help everyone stay synchronized and be helpful to the viewing public. Only the chair and TCTV are able to share content or screens, or unless allowed by request. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. We have a couple of, actually just one set of meeting minutes to approve. We've got citizen input, and then we will jump into employees and quarterly reports. So at this time, based on the minutes that are in your agenda packet, if there are no corrections or changes, I would entertain a motion to admit the minutes of 3/24/21. Hi, Julie.
So moved.
Second.
Great. I have a motion and a second to admit the meeting minutes for March 24th, 2021. Any observations, corrections, or concerns?
No, sir.
Great. Hearing nothing further on the motion to admit the meeting minutes for 3/24/21, how do you vote? Terry?
Yes?
Julie?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Great way to kick off a meeting. Thank you. All right, next spot on our agenda is for citizen input. I'll entertain any citizen input. Just as a preface to citizen input, our method of public participation, which really embodies that citizen input portion. I watched the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on Monday, and I will tell you that the chat feature in YouTube can be effective. It can be effective for a few words. I don't want to sound like a Dr. Seuss book, but it can be effective for a couple of words, a paragraph, or a dissertation. So during citizen input, if you're out there and you did have something, or you say, gee, I wish, we could go back to public meetings where I can do this in front of everyone. We try and adapt everything to be able to allow for that public input. So I do know that chat section is quite effective when people want to have a statement or a question. Offhanded remarks, I do, as we've seen happen before, I try and keep those down to a minimum unless they are salient to the conversation, but usually questions and comments are what we are looking for. Questions, comments, or statements in the live chat. Adam or Holly, I didn't open my latest health update. Do you happen to have offhand the current number of the COVID cases in town?
That was just sent out. Let me pull it up.
Yes, please. I like to do that in the citizen input just to kind of remind people that we are still in a state of emergency.
We are at 14.
14. Okay.
And that was just sent out.
Great. And I believe vaccination rates in Worcester County are a little bit lower, but I know that the categories are changing almost on a daily basis, bringing down that age barrier. Terry, you had something for citizen input.
Yes, it's 1 week before the Boston Post cane will be decided. So if anybody knows of anybody that's not on the voter registration or on the census that's older than 100, please contact Holly at the selectman's office, or contact the selectman's office before next Wednesday. Holly put a lovely piece up on the Templeton webpage about the whole thing. She did a great job.
Great. Thanks, Terry and Holly. Okay, hearing nothing further on citizen input, we will move into new business. Adam, do we have any introductions of new employees or appointments this evening?
I do not have any, Mr. Chairman.
All right, let's roll right into our presentation of third quarter quarterly reports. First up is our Police Department, Chief Mike Bennett. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Curry and rest of board members. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. Third quarter for FY21 was difficult at times with many employees, including myself, dealing with COVID-19 issues. Fortunately, all of our employees and their respective family members survived the rash of COVID-19 cases we experienced. We as a department would like to express our deepest condolences to all the families of our community that experienced a loss during this difficult time. As our community members become vaccinated against COVID-19, we look forward to a better times. The station project, Sallyport project contractor was out and made repairs to one of the footings, which was under warranty. We are still working our way through the HVAC system issues and hope to be moving forward with a resolution soon. After speaking with a local flooring contractor, the only solution for the flooring issue may be to put another floor directly over the current floor. As you might remember, We have cracking and starring in the floor caused by the humidity from the HVAC, and that's going to have to be addressed at some time. The department has had some other projects completed in this quarter, such as the e-citation equipment installed into the patrol units and the live scan fingerprint machine put online. Officers are currently going through their training to be able to utilize this equipment. Also, the department has or will be participating in the Autism Awareness Patch Program to benefit the Doug Flutie Foundation for Autism Awareness Month in April. These patches will be for sale to the public, and details are available on our Facebook page. If you haven't seen them, I would go to the Facebook page. They are pretty nice, and a lot of departments are doing this at this time of year. As for the stats, you will see calls to the ACO stayed the same. Arrests went down slightly. Assist other agency went down drastically. That's because of accidents, mainly on Route 2. Investigations and incidents went up slightly. Restraining orders slightly. Parking tickets went up. That was from parking on the side during snowstorms. Motor vehicle citations went up. Motor vehicle accidents obviously went up. It was that time of year. FIDs and LTCs went down. We saw a drastic drop in that. There weren't a lot of classes being run at that time, and that was the reason for not a lot of new activity. You will see calls for total service went down, approximately 500, and calls into dispatch went down by approximately 500 also. Any questions?
Chief, I had a question on your first page when you were talking about the e-citation equipment. Could
Yes.
you give a quick thumbnail sketch of what that does for the department?
Okay, so what that is going forward, instead of having ticket books that the officers that are assigned to them, now everything is done through the computer system in an actual printing machine within the cruiser. So when they're sitting there, they're entering the information on their laptop computer, and it's called push. They push the information through the state, and it automatically issues the citation right there in the car. And then it's automatically uploaded into the department equipment, and it goes right to the state. It's the fastest thing. It's really easy from what the officers tell me. I am trained in it, but obviously I don't use it on a regular basis.
Right. Thanks for that, Chief. Anyone else on the board have a question? Great, Mike. Thank you very much for your report. Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Great job, Chief. Thank you.
Chief Dave Dickey, you're up next. Glad to see you.
Good evening, everybody. Fire Department and EMS for third quarter. We ran about average on our calls. We weren't up, we weren't really down, within a few calls of our normal average. Inspections at 82 were down a little bit, but we're ramping back up with those with current building still proceeding through the winter and home sales. Ambulance calls were at 183, 15 motor vehicle accidents, firearm activations, 16. That includes both residential and commercial buildings. 1 public service call, 8 building fires. That sounds a little shocking, but that's not just Templeton. That's when we go out and assist other communities as well. So 10 carbon monoxide alarms. Those are usually a little higher in the winter time than in the summer. People are buttoned up in their homes and so forth. 1 car fire, 4 chimney fires. 3 of those were in town, 1 out. 2 small brush / garden mulch fires, 5 hazmat incidents, 1 technical rescue. We had 2 illegal outside fires, 1 assist of another agency, 1 electrical problem. We had 4 calls that were canceled while we were en route. 1 motor vehicle fire, 1 lockout, 1 actual sprinkler flow alarm, and 2 smoke issues, which were smoke odor removal problems. Through our 3rd quarter with COVID, you know, we, with the help of MEMA, were able to get a bunch of supplies and got them all into storage. These were both for our first responder agencies, but it's also for other areas of the town that need it as well. And I'm sure Rich will have a little explanation on that. They were through his agencies, but we took all those in and cataloged them. Our training was really curtailed a lot because of having to do it online. So we really held all our training online except for right towards the very end of the quarter in March when fire training, we're starting to be able to hold in-person training again. So that's really it on the fire and EMS side.
Thanks, Chief. I just had 2 quick questions. Your new truck is a ladder or an engine? I forget.
An engine.
An engine. How is it? It's been out on the road for approximately 6-8 months, or
It's been on the road for over a year now.
over a year.
The truck is running fantastic. We've had our little shakedown issues with it that have been taken care of right off the bat. We really haven't had any major problems with it. It's gone to its fair share of actual fires, both in this town and out of town, and worked flawlessly at each of those incidents. In fact, the company we bought it from, Toyne, they're not a big Northeast manufacturer. They do more out west. But when I looked at the trucks and looked at a lot of towns that had it and was impressed with it, and now I'm actually getting a lot of phone calls from other communities. They're putting a big push in New England, and there's a lot of communities actually purchasing those in this area. Athol has one on order right now, and they're hoping for another one in the future. So working out well.
Great, thanks. And you said you had a technical rescue. How do you characterize our technical rescue? Is that part of another something, or is it a singular incident?
So, no, it's a singular incident. Technical rescue would be something that it's a tech rescue. It can be a water rescue, or it could be with ropes or different things like that characterized. The one we had was actually a mutual aid call. We were called out to Royalston to help them extricate a person that fell on a walking path and had injuries.
Okay.
Which would be a technical rescue.
Great.
That's funny, Mike. That was my question.
Oh, was it? Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, I'm grateful. Great minds think alike.
There you go. Julie, Tim, Terry, anything more for Chief Dickey?
No, thank you for the report, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Have a good night. All right. Next up is our Emergency Management Director, Rich Curtis. Evening, Rich.
Evening, everybody. How you doing?
Good.
I was kind of busy. I was kind of busy this quarter, even though I'm down here in Florida. I attended numerous ICS meetings, although we did have a few that we bypassed as there wasn't anything new coming up, but that was with the ICS team in town. I received copies of the Emergency Management Interoperability Field Operations Guidebooks from MEMA. I had Don Moran meet up with our MEMA coordinator for this area at our EOC, and he gave them to him, and they're at the office now. I attended a CPOD, which is a community point of distribution training with MEMA. And basically, I'm going to get with Adam later on with this about using the high school, middle school, the loop, the parking area and whatnot for our town, if it should ever be needed. That will just involve doing up new procedures in our SEMP plan. Received information from MEMA about the Mass Food Security Program. Basically, if we need food, we can order it, especially for those in isolation or quarantine, and they can't get out at all. We can order food for them and deliver it to them. We were awarded the 2019 CCP grant. Now, this is one that we had missed because COVID started and we missed the deadline, but they did a second wave because I guess we weren't the only ones that missed it. They finally awarded it to us for $2,500, and this is going to be to purchase a new tent and a heater for that tent for the firefighter rehab during inclement weather. We sent in a reimbursement package to MEMA for $2,895.13 for the 2020 EMPG grant. That should be hitting our accounts. I don't know if it has yet or not. I haven't heard yet, but it should be hitting our accounts very soon. We had Don Moore attend a emergency dispensary site training with the Board of Health, CDC, at the middle school. They don't need a whole lot of people when they're doing the drill, so Don Moore went by himself. Completed my conflict of interest and open meeting law annual training, and I sent it out to my partners, and I'm sure they got theirs in. Attended the electronic message board training. We've got all 3 of our message boards in, and they are out. And I was able to program them from right down here. So they work great. I can actually see exactly where they are and everything. So it works really good. It's going to be a real asset to the town. Sent to the selectmen a proposed policy for the emergency management and CERT to receive monies reimbursed through FEMA and CARES relating to the volunteer hours that we do during disasters or emergencies that are reimbursable. That's still up in the air. That still hasn't really come to a front yet. We're just going to have to try and get that into one of your meetings. Attended the quarterly EMD meeting via Zoom. Attended the budget meeting with Selectmen and Advisory Committee. Attended a COOP training workshop put on by MEMA. And this is something that I started last summer. The only one I really got done with this was Bob Sosik. I've got to go around to the rest of the departments and get the information from them to complete that section. I submitted a PPE and safety supplies order with MEMA with the help of Dave Dickey and Lori. We ordered, I think it came to 4 pallets worth of equipment. They were literally asking us to take what we needed, basically. So they helped us to set up an order. We filled out that order. I sent it in, and like I said, 4 pallets worth of stuff. And Dave mentioned that he's already put that stuff away already.
Oh,
so that's a good thing to have sitting by. The only problem is if it gets too old sitting there, it might have a shelf life. I'm not sure. I'm still working with Kelly on the FEMA and the CARES expenses. She just sent me some more expenses. I'm waiting for the checks, but I got the invoices and received the state contract for the COVID-19 expenses. The first project I sent in the total of $13,782.42. That was discussed at the last selectmen's meeting, I believe, and supposedly signed. I don't know if it's been sent back yet or not. I'm waiting to hear about that. I haven't gotten a copy myself yet. And let me see, I attended the EOC management workshop for MEMA and gave them an emergency contact list for Templeton. They needed an update. And we only had one CERT meeting this quarter due to the COVID issue. We didn't have much going on, and we just felt that we only needed the one. So that's all we did. And that's all I've got.
thanks, Rich. I put a picture of your Baldwinville sign up on the screen.
And with this sign software, Like I said, I can see right where these things are positioned. It's very exact. It doesn't actually show a picture like this, but it shows Google Maps. It shows right where the sign is sitting. So that works out good. I like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big win. Not only because we're trying to broadcast, wear your mask. We actually had a comment on during your report from, didn't specify the name, but I've seen the name before. Lure of the North is the handle. Yes, and when in grocery stores, people should wear them, masks, that is. But we can use these message boards for a variety of different things, and the ability to be able to centralize the control and the messaging is fantastic. So thanks for you and your team and the planning that went into that to get that capability for the community. The $13,000 doc, or the $13,000 figure with the packet. I know I've signed some. Holly, is that complete, or is that also within my my packet for signature?
That's in your packet.
Okay, so Rich, I had to delay. I was under quarantine since last week. I come out tomorrow, so I'll be having a signature party at the conference table. I'm aware that there's quite a few things to sign, so help is on the way with those things that you need.
Okay.
I had two questions for you. For the PPE supplies that you get, is it governed by the printed Best Buy date, or is there something that we can do storage-wise that would enhance the lifespan of it, like shrink wrap it or vacuum seal it?
Basically, what it is with our PPE supplies for the town, everything is located between the highway, the fire department and Lori's storage over at the middle school. And basically Dave is handling this. He is
Right.
rotating the stock as he can so anything new he gets, when he has to order something, gets put in there. He takes out old stuff and so on, just to keep it rotated. Obviously we're not going to be able to do that with everything, because I'm sure there's some things there that he doesn't use.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, like, and I by shelf life, I mean like the elastic bands on masks might deteriorate after
Okay.
5
Yeah,
or 6 years.
that's kind of out of the scope for what I was asking. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Mr.
But
Chairman?
yeah, I don't think there's anything there that is like medical, where it has an expiration date per se.
All right. Go ahead, Chief.
The biggest thing I can probably say for those things and for them wearing out or for that type of thing is we received a lot of sanitation wipes. And one thing I noticed on them is the cover, when you open it up, it doesn't have like a sealed cover in it. So it's just that
It
plastic
dries
cover.
up.
Anybody needs like a sandy wipe or something to wipe surfaces and everything, that will definitely kill COVID. We have that. I've got a bunch of cases of that. That's the only thing that I really see that would have an expiring problem. All the masks and everything, what we found from having our N95 masks from the H1N1 thing of years ago, anything that was open and got to the air, the rubber bands wore out and dried out. The mask was good, but the rubber bands weren't. So
Right.
keeping them, only opening the boxes that we need and keeping them secure helps with that.
Thanks, Chief. Rich, my last question on that new tent and heater for the warm up. Is that designed to go on your new vehicle as part of your rollout kit?
Right. It's a military style tent. And obviously we're looking for something that goes up easy, not difficult. Maybe that 2 people could put up. We've got one in mind. I'm going to be making calls to that to see just how convenient it is. But it literally will attach basically to the back of the ambulance. So it'll be convenient for us for the rehab duties that we have to do for the fire department.
Thanks, Rich. That's all the questions I had. Julie, Terry, Tim?
Just a quick, have you had a chance to review that information on the Mass Food Security Program and Isolation Quarantine Food Security Program?
I reviewed it, and basically it's real simple. It's a procedure that they've set up where if we have somebody, and there is another one too, I probably have it further down in here, I'm not sure, or I have it on the same line, but it's basically there's two different things. If you have somebody that's needy in town that doesn't have money, that can't get out, we can secure food for them. Or if they're quarantined or in isolation, we can get food for them. And we do it through MEMA. They'll send it to the emergency management and we deliver it to them, to the people.
That's tremendous. That's like the third avenue. We got the vets, we got the food pantry, and now this.
Right.
Yeah, they
and
use the
quite
word,
honestly,
they use the word shut-ins and people that are quarantined.
Yeah, isolation and quarantine. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Not a great term to use, but it does drive the point home.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I mean, I don't know with our food pantry now under new directorship, I should say. I haven't even had a chance to meet with those people, but basically, I think it should be about the same. If we needed food for somebody in town, I'm sure they would make sure that they get it.
Nice.
So we may not even need the MEMA program because we have a good food pantry in town.
Yeah, I'm just wondering too, if anything happened, heaven forbid, that the food pantry could contact you with a need. If it was something.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure MEMA can be flexible too.
Yeah.
So we got a question from April Cover on the chat. Who would they contact for that food? Lori Witta is kind of like that central for the type of program that it is. Rich works hand in hand with Lori on that because it really has to, sometimes it ties in with families that are identified as quarantining or otherwise. So it's a joint effort between the health community and the emergency management community with the fully funded supported program. So great question from the web. Thank you.
And also to add to that, any department like police, fire, DPW, anybody that finds somebody that's in need can pass it on to me or Lori, and we can get this stuff ordered and get it delivered.
Yep. And Rich, if you don't have a copy of the agreement that we have with New Hope Bible Church, either Adam or Holly can furnish a copy so you can see what the relationship is between the town and New Hope Bible Church.
I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Any other questions for Rich? Go ahead, Julie.
Actually, it's not a question. It's just a comment. Rich, I am so impressed, and I have received so many positive comments about your team. Call it emergency management, call it the CERT meeting, the CERT team. But I just want to give a personal kudos to your group. It's phenomenal what you've all been able to do. And I'm jealous you're in Florida. But on a great note, I have talked to several community members that just can't say enough positive. And I think that we need to be reminded that occasionally a pat on the back for people like yourself that do so much for the community needs to be heard. And so I just wanted to make sure that you knew that. And the tent and the heater coming in, all of that, small things that some people don't realize are so important. Kudos to your team. Very, very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it, Julie. All right, Rich, I think we can cut you loose for some of that Florida sun before it dips down below. Thank you very
That's almost
much.
gone, but that's okay. Thanks.
Okay, we are moving into our third quarter reports from Public Works. We have DPW Director Bob Sozik with us this evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. Here to give you your third quarter DPW Highway Building and Ground report. We'll start with Highway first. As you know, in the past, we've been working with Mass DOT to get 22 more roads approved in town, which was a great task. We had an intern that did a great job on her part, and we're able to, with MassDOT's changeover and helping positions, finally get on the right road to get those roads accepted, to give us some extra monies in our Chapter 90s monies, which is around $28,000. We had several crew members participate in the training, like Rich said, on the new signboards. I was able to get the signboards ordered and registered and all decaled and lettered up. The training also included the mechanic for what maintenance he has to do on those. I think they're going to be a big asset to the town as far as getting messages across that are important. And like Rich said, if we can do them from the computers or phones. So if somebody's not around, there's plenty of us able to do that. We still got some storms that required some cleanups from our crews, along with down trees. Hopefully we're on the tail end of that. We started cleaning catch basins, along with the plowing and the sanding, of course, of the sidewalks, getting them cleaned up as well. Right now we're focusing on catch basins, sweeping, and potholing repairs, which will be ongoing for a while. We had some crews rebuild some catch basins throughout the town that are well needed, and many more to go. And we're very pleased to announce that we received our new Max 6-wheeler plow sander truck, and haven't been able to use it for a storm yet. We had it for a couple of weeks. It's all registered. Let it up. Come on down and see it. It's a very nice truck. Moving on to the buildings and grounds. As I said, we had a lot of windstorms. There's several storms required several cleanups for our crews with down trees amongst the town buildings and cemeteries. My dog. We also had several burials. Sorry about that. Several burials and assisted several patrons with cemetery plot purchases and assisted others with locating graves and help understanding the cemetery rules. The building and grounds crew, they finally got to the front end of their conic boxes and cleaned out and organized and built racks, and very impressive. Several files were transferred up to the town hall in the basement for storage, along with taking care of flag duties. The equipment's all been gone through. And then one of their older trailers, they went through and refurbished new boards and paint, and just a couple of new lights, and it came out real nice. Finished the inventory for ordering the markers and flags for Memorial Days, which we received from the Veterans Office, and worked on measuring and mapping out new sections in the cemeteries for future expansion. And that's about it for the third quarter.
Thank you, Bob. Pretty impressive about adding the roads on there. I know that we've got the Chapter 90 plan coming up in the meeting, and that was a large part of the additional funds for that. So thank you for including that in that third quarter report, and I'm glad you got your truck.
Bob also forgot to mention, he helped out quite a bit of the other departments, which shows a significant amount of teamwork that we're really doing amongst the departments.
Great. And could I briefly interject for the telephone number ending in 2478? Could you identify yourself? Is that the Kennedys?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just TCTV couldn't mute the telephone, so they just wanted to remind you that it was an open line. Sorry for interrupting. Any other board member comments for Mr. Sozik? Well, we've got him for another agenda item. So if you forget something right now, we'll have him at action item G. All right, that concludes our public safety and public works. Sorry, Bob, I forgot to mention that you did have a comment on the YouTube chat from Maple Covert saying, "Great job clearing the roads of snow and debris in a timely and efficient manner."
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, we are going to move on. I will interject before we go into the line item F as in Foxtrot. I forgot to do something in the beginning, but I'll do that after this item here. Next item is item E, action relating to the change of name of private road for Wilson Court in Baldwinville. And with this evening, I'm not sure if we have both Kennedys, but at least looks like we have Rochelle Kennedy with us this evening.
You have both of us. He's on vacation. He's on vacation with our son, so he's calling from out of state.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how to get my picture to come up, so I don't know what I'm doing.
That's all right.
Ray is online.
Oh, got him.
Excellent. Thank you to both of you for coming on this evening and getting on the agenda this evening. In our packet, we did get your letter, a very detailed, well-written letter. Very much appreciate that. Mr. LaMontagne or Mr. Sozik, I don't know if you care to give it the quick rundown of it, or if you, just the how we're framing this.
So if I can, we spoke with some of the other departments. This is a matter where it's a private road. As far as we know, the Kennedys have this property, and the abutters, there's really relatively no impact. They did the due diligence. They went around, and they're going to take care of the notification for them. Once we approve it and we notify them, they'll move forward from that standpoint and address it. It's something where they're going to take on most of the work, and it's a private road. It's something that I think is relatively simple for us to do to make it where they could get their road named from Wilson Court to, what is it, Kennedy Way?
Yep.
Is there anything I missed on that?
Rochelle or Ray, anything that he might have missed in that?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we've thought about requesting this for several years now, and we just decided one day, why not just ask? I mean, we know that we're going to have to take on the expense of the new sign and the changing our deeds and all of that. But we figured, why not ask? So that's where we're at.
And I think Holly has something to add, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I see her hand is up. Go ahead, Holly.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I had talked to Rochelle about if the board approved it, there would be a cost to the signs, and she said they were happy to handle that cost. And I thought Bob Sozik might be able to give us an opinion and an estimated cost on those signs.
If there's, I can't remember if there's one or two signs, one on each end of the road.
There's only one sign. It's a dead end road.
Okay, one sign, you're probably looking around $200, give or take, a little bit.
Yep.
to replace the sign and install it.
Right. We figured that.
Well, I looked at the abutters, and otherwise no one really shares Wilson Court. It looks like it's all Elm Street addresses, so I don't see any issue with it as at all. I don't see Holly or Adam, I don't see a proposed motion. Do we need a motion or action? I'm sorry, go ahead, Chief. I didn't see your hand.
My only question is, what about 911? Any, that name change has to go into the 911 system to make sure that it moves forward.
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing for another address where there's some driveway issues, changing around numbers and otherwise. So I think Bob, when we were talking about that other issue off of Dudley Road, I think that Mike Bennett needs to know about the address changes for the 911 system. Is that correct?
Yeah, the thing for them to do is get a hold of Chief Bennett, and he can let him know if that'll work for him or not, and how much work he would have to do on his end, as far as making the changes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Ollie.
I had texted Mike to get his opinion on it because I knew he was going to be busy. And he said he was fine with it from his point of view, and that 911 will just have to be notified of the change. And it sounds like that's something simple for them to do.
Okay. Holly, do you recommend, do we need a motion to approve the Kennedy's request?
I would suggest a motion. I just wasn't sure how the board would feel about it, so I didn't want to put a suggested motion on there.
I would say just to move to from the name change of the private road from Wilson Court to Kennedy Way.
So moved.
Boom. Thank you, Julie.
Second.
And I have a second from Tim. Any further questions? Any questions for the Kennedys? When their official renaming block party will be?
We'll let you know.
Baldwinville, you got to keep up with the Joneses or the Kennedys. Go ahead, Julie.
Just had a quick question. Are you related to the Kennedys on the Cape?
We are.
Oh, nice. I'm impressed. Welcome to town.
Well, we've been here for 20 years, but we have been invited to family reunions down there. So, but yeah, so we're excited about it.
Excellent.
Great.
We'll have to notify the Narragansett Historical Commission about the name change to the road. It'll have some significance. All right. Any other questions? Okay. On the motion to approve the Kennedy's request to change Wilson Court to Kennedy Way, how do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Congratulations, Kennedys. It was unanimous.
Great.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I assume
Thank
that
you.
we'll just get something from you, Holly, or something, because I'll have to go to the post office.
Yes, I'll send an email with some details on
Great.
contacts and everything.
Great. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you. So we can sign off now?
You absolutely can.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
All right, folks. I hate to change the mood of the meeting, but I neglected. I had planned, but I look at all my different prompts and screens when we start the meeting, and I woefully neglected something within our own select board family that I wish to do. So I don't want to wait to the end of the meeting. One of our colleagues, Jeff Bennett, lost his mother a week ago Monday. Beverly Bennett. Her obituary came out over the weekend in the Gardner News. It's a very sad time for the Bennett family. I know he talked of his mother a lot, and I certainly I know that all of you join me in the grief that Jeff has this evening and, for his period of mourning. So I know that our office, the TA and the select board office, has taken steps for, or has already acted in a letter or a note of condolence. So anything else that you might want to do, you just follow the instructions in the obituary, or you can reach out to Jeff. I do know that Carter was very surprised about the news, and he contacted Jeff earlier today, which was appreciated. So I know it doesn't need a motion or anything, but I would like you, for everybody that's on right now, and if you're listening at home or watching on TCTV, it's a tough time for Jeff Bennett, and we share in his grief. I would like for all of you to join me in a moment of silence for Beverly Bennett. Thanks, team. Very much appreciated. Okay, we're going to move on in our agenda this evening. The next item is action item F. It's action related to the transfer of an insurance check for the fire truck payment. Adam or Chief Dickey?
What I'll do is I'll just mention we did this not too long ago when we had an accident with the hot box. This is Chief Dickey's request. He'll go over everything pertaining to this, but it's a similar fashion to how we did handle the hot box matter not too long ago. Chief.
Yeah, so it's just like the hot box. One of my engines a while back got into a small accident leaving the station. It has a hydraulic ladder rack on it, and the truck is so old it doesn't have alarms to say that the ladder rack was down. There was a couple of calls that happened simultaneously, and the rack was down a little bit, and driver came out of the station and hit the station, causing no damage to the building, but it warped the hydraulic ladder rack. Had to be redone. So this is just to cover the costs so that the insurance check can go to pay for the truck and pay for the repairs.
Thanks, Chief. And I could see on the memorandum that it's in our packet that Adam had up there that the plan is to use the insurance company check, and then the remaining would be coming from your purchase of services account to for the total repair, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Adam or Chief, I had no further questions. Terry, Tim, or Julie? Okay, I would entertain a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve per MGL Chapter 44, Section 53, the use of the insurance proceeds for the repair of the fire engine for the fire department, and for the chief to sign any related documents.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Adam, the fire chief is the appropriate signature authority for that?
Well, since town council's here, I'll yield to town council. Should that be fine? I would assume so myself.
It's an insurance payment and then just use of his own budget money.
Tom, this is for
I'm putting you on the spot, Tom.
yeah, it's for an
I was
insurance.
cramming for the one that's coming up.
No,
Well, I figured since you're here,
right. That's what happens in Zoom. You activate the camera. Everyone thinks you want to be a part of the circus.
It's for an insurance proceeds, Tom, in
Yep.
relation to Mass General Law, and the fire chief is looking at using those proceeds to take and do the repair.
Yep.
And it's for the fire chief to sign off, which I believe he would have the authority.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
But since you're here, I figured I'll throw it at you.
Okay. Any further questions? All All right, hearing none on the motion for Chapter 44, Section 53 for the use of the insurance proceeds for the repair of the fire engine and for the fire department and for the fire chief to sign any related documents. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks for hanging with us, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Have a good night. All right, moving along in our agenda for this evening, we are up to action related to a Chapter 90 plan as submitted in our packet. Hello again, Mr. Sozik.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. In your packet, I don't know if you had time to review, but discussion paper of allocation of the Chapter 90 funds. That's the one that's in percentage. It's getting tougher and tougher because the work that's been done prior to me, if we don't start doing some of that, we're going to lose what monies you spent in that to be done and not completed. But on that percentage sheet, like the years past, I got it all broken down. Like routine maintenance, crack sealing, we got a 6.5% of the monies this year, which is around $35,000 to do some crack sealing. And I got drainage improvements at 1.5%. We're going to be doing more drainage improvements, like on North Main Street. I'm going to have some coming up on South Road. Then we have it broken down with equipment and routine road maintenance. That's for like small equipment to do pavement maintenance, which is at 0. Safety, which is realignment of guardrails, signage, and the alike at 1%. Preventive maintenance is at 0. I'll explain that when we get to the other page. Then we have structural improvements, like chip sealing, overlays. That's at 0 this year. And reconstruction, which is full depth reclamation, and the alike, which is totally taking the road, chewing it up, regrading it, spraying it down with calcium, get the right pitch, and put down your base coat and your top coat of asphalt. And on the second page, on the bottom of that, we, like always, past few years, we have money put aside for emergency use in engineering, which is in our favor if something drastically wrong happens, at least we have something we can start with. On the expenditure plan, in the past few years, this is how it's been set up, and it seems to be working out well. As you all know, we're doing most of this through the road study plan that you guys had performed prior to my arrival.
Mm-hmm.
This top balance unspent, 192,635. That's so say last year's money. 125 of that was money turned back over from Orchard Lane that wasn't used. And the new estimated amount for Templeton come this July would be $362,341, which brings us around $555,000. With that being said, that 362,341 is not going to be available until July 1st. But that other unspent balance money, I can do work before I get the, if I get your approval tonight, I can start some work and use that money without any problems at all, just doing the paperwork with MassDOT. If you look down, you got routine maintenance and localized crack sealing. We got Baldwinville Road on there. which was done about 7 years ago. Roads like this, if you don't catch the cracks, it's at its prime state now to preserve that road. The road study, the 89,000 is what they projected, but I don't see that. And we would start that with the 35,000 that I proposed using for crack sealing on that road. Then we drop down into the drainage improvement. You can see this Main Street North, Main South, Lord. We intend to hopefully hit a couple, 3 of these this summer to solve a lot of water problems and ice buildup through the winter and the freezing and thawing nights. Equipment for the road is at 0. Safety alignment for guardrails and signs and the such is proposed for $5,000 this year. Preventive maintenance is at 0. The overlay is at 0. And then on the second page is where you'll see, I'm sure you're all familiar with like Hubbardston Road. Well, prior to my arrival, there was a lot of money put into that road in different sections and helping that road out. Well, now the sections that were done starting to crack, and the areas that were left in between the sections that were done are worsened. And where we're getting a little extra money this year, this road is going to be completed and repair those bad sections, which will entail either milling or reclaiming. This will be from the center of Templeton Center all the way to the town line. And then with an overlay course top coat from the center of Templeton to the town line. And this road will be 100% complete. And it's a total of 14,350 feet. And that price includes the reclaiming, the milling, raising, adjusting structures, and your base coat and top coat. The only other road I have on is the back end of Hospital Hill or Hospital Road off of the Bridge Street side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you haven't been up there. If you want a good laugh, take a ride. But this road is in a real bad disarray. We will be replacing a few cross culvert pipes and reclaiming this section of road with a base coat and a top coat from Bridge Street, just short of the nursing home. I wanted to try to do the whole road, but unfortunately the monies are not there. So at least the hill and that backside will be in good shape. It's very hard with short monies to try to come up with a plan. You want to believe how many times I changed this and him and hot over. It's where do you go? What do you do first? And it's going to be that way for a while. I'm trying to complete streets. I understand there's still a lot of fires to put out, but if we don't start completing these streets and always just putting out fires, we're not getting anywhere. We want complete streets to meet our complete street program, for one. And if down the road we do end up with a stipend from the state and they allow that money to be used for road work, as Adam said, I would definitely recommend highly on using whatever you can out of that, and that would actually give us a good jump start. on this $18 million project to do all the roads.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate you walking us through that, especially the road study part of it. That part was very helpful for me to see where we're trying to either balance or that we're dramatically out of balance for the other things. And that's one of the things that we acknowledged when we had that road study was much like you were just talking about. There are big projects out there, but there's just not enough money. So to be able to target funds and keep some sustainment costs in there as well. Understanding that our road study, there's a lot of bad spots out there. If we were to if the select board were to sort their inbox based on, we need help with this road and that road, it would occupy, it occupies quite a bit of our inbox. So we realize what a concern of the residents it is. So thank you for this thoughtful plan. Any other board member questions? Yes, go ahead, Julie.
I just had a really quick question that doesn't pertain to this action, which you obviously know I'm going to support. I just wanted a quick update on the Royalston Road update and the South Road update. How are things going with that? Because I know those come from different funding, and I do get questions on occasion from people on those roads, wondering where we're at with those.
The Royalston Road is on the TIP program, which is moving forward. Still projected for 2024. And the reason either myself, Adam, or Mr. Bennett attends these meetings because it keeps you informed, because they do, some projects ain't quite ready, and the ones that are ready, they do some shuffling around and move projects up and back all the time. But it is still projected for 2024. South Road, where I stopped last year, I do have to do some drainage work in that area before I continue. And I would like to do that drainage work with my guys and town equipment to save us thousands and thousands of dollars. We're talking probably 4 catch basins and running an outfall, working on getting an easement with Luann with some property owners, which is all looking on the positive side. Once we finish that, I'm hoping next year I can continue to progress on South Road.
Great, thank you, Bob.
Tim, Terry, anything?
No, I appreciate the update, Bob. That was very thorough, and I noticed it did tie in with that road study that we did a few years back. Thank you for bringing that up.
Good to go. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
All right, folks, I would.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep, please go ahead, Julie.
I move to accept the Chapter 90 plan as presented. Well done, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Terry. I have a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, hearing none. On the motion to accept the Chapter 90 plan as presented and is in your packet, how would you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. As I frequently say to Adam, Bob, you're good to go. Get to work.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully you'll see a difference.
Thanks, Bob. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Tom, thanks for joining us. We just have one more small piece of business before we get to the IAC that I know you're on for this evening. Next item we have up is item H, action related to Peaceful Pines Automatic Amusement Seasonal License Renewal. I've looked at the request and the paperwork. I can see that there are promises of, the paperwork, the check when they pick up the license. It is a renewal. Peaceful Pines has their arcade. Seems quite timely to me. Anything beyond that, Holly?
No, they're all set. They do the same thing every year. And I have it set up so when Lori goes out to do the food inspection, she checks on the machines they have. So they're good to go.
Great.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Julie.
I move to approve the renewal of the Peaceful Pines Automatic Amusement seasonal license in effect through October 31st, 2021.
Great. Thanks for the motion.
Second.
Thank you, Terry, for the second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none on the seasonal license renewal for Peaceful Pines Automatic Amusement through October 31st of 2021. How would you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Congrats to Peaceful Pines. Thank you to the board. All right, our next item up for this evening is action related to the Insurance Advisory Committee employee organizations. We've got Adam, Holly, and Town Council, Tom Harrington. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Adam, who's kicking that off?
I guess I'll open it up.
Okay.
Holly wrote the memorandum. Believe she was here when Bob Markle worked on this a while back. So she had some knowledge and that aspect. This is before I even started working for the town. And we have here a situation where the Insurance Advisory Committee structure was set up, and the way it was is you have 8 members, and 5 at the time are union positions. Now that the Department of Labor Relations added the majority vote, if you will, the Templeton professional firefighters, it's changed the structure. And so we went back and forth with town council on this. And with that, I just kind of wanted to give you an overview of it. But this would have to come in front of the select board. That's why we decided to bring it forward tonight. Tom and I did some research on this. And Tom, you want me to share the screen for the vote that happened back in 1953 or?
Sure.
So hold on here. So back in 1953, Tom, if you want to kind of explain this to the board, or excuse me, 1956, my mistake.
Right.
March 5th, this was a vote taken and it passed down here, 617 yes votes to 183 no votes. So we did some research on this. A member brought to our attention a section.
What was the question? Can you scroll back down so we can see what the question was?
The question was to adopt Chapter 32B of the general laws. This basically gives the authorization of the town to be involved with medical insurance. And Tom, legally, if you want to speak a little further on that, just because it's important to understand all the components that go into the establishment of the Insurance Advisory Committee.
Sure. Thanks, Adam. So good evening, everybody. Tom Harrington, Town Council. Nice to see you all. So actually a board member raised the question earlier this week, had we adopted Chapter 32B in the appropriate manner, because we couldn't identify a town meeting vote. So we went back to the statute, and that was some eagle eye reading. I appreciate the extra work. So we went back to the statute and learned that the town had originally adopted it by ballot question way back in '56. So what Adam just shared with you is our adoption of the 32B program. So what Adam and I were worrying about a few days ago, you weren't, and you don't need to, because we got to the right place. So now it brings us to the IAC. And so I think the question before you is, you've now got a fire union. Do you need to appoint a fire union member, or allow the fire union to elect a member to serve on the IAC?
Right.
And as I read it, I don't think you do. I think this is entirely within the board's discretion. I think right now you're currently constituted with 5 union participants and 2 non-union participants. If you wish, you can switch that so that your additional union is represented, and then there will be 1 member representing the non-union employees, but I don't think you have to. So this is one of those times where it's a political question, not a legal question. I think you can do either. I do want to enforce the idea that it's not an appointment from this board. You identify the group that you want to have a representative from, and they elect that member. So if you decided that you did want to have a member of the fire union on this committee, they would elect the member, tell you, and then that's how they're appointed.
Thanks, Tom. Now, Holly, is there anything you wanted to add to this?
Well, just my opinion that I think it's only right that every other union is represented, and we have a new union and they should also be represented. And it's not a problem for us to take the other 2 non-union members and go back and have another election and just put one, another vote and put 1 of those in there. Just seems fair to the new union to me.
I would say in support of Holly's statement, what the statute says is that the board identifies the groups that will have a representative. So there is a consistency to having the non-union group represented by a single representative as opposed to 2 now. So again, while I don't think you have to, I do think there's a consistency to Holly's recommendation.
Thanks, Tom. Holly, that we just wanted to provide that update to you. This happened as we were, we spent a lot of time on the insurance, not too long ago, and with the formation of the new union, it ran into some structural issues that we would want to get straightened out. We have to go to this appropriate body in order to do that.
So I just looked up 32B section 3 because my question was, does it have to be 8? Yes, by the state statute, it's 8. It's capped at 8. And is if we as at town meeting have adopted 32B, is the select board the correct authority to engineer the makeup of that?
You are.
Okay. I would agree. I wish it wasn't 8. I wish that the non-union employees could actually have 2 at the table, but I have to defer to the logic of having each entity having a seat at the table. Legally, I agree with you, Tom. We could have said, your interests are being taken care of by, the union teams that we have. But, as far as faith goes, we asked the new union to go through the hoops, go through the state. They went through the proper process. I think we show the correct respect for our union and non-union employees by making sure everyone has a seat at the table. So I am in favor of dropping one of the non-union and adding in the new union.
Well said, Mike.
Any other questions from the board for Tom, Adam, or Holly? Fortunately, our script for this evening was written to to accommodate Holly's suggestion. So I would entertain a motion if there are no more questions or discussion. I think it's the right direction.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the rule to specify and designate the following organizations of the employees affected to be members of the Insurance Advisory Committee as follows: Dispatch Union, Firefighters Union, Light Union, Local 39, DPW and Sewer, Non-Union Employee Group, Police Union, and Water Union. And for the non-union employee group, be allowed one representative instead of the current 2 reps, and that the board direct the town administrator to notify the non-union employees to organize a meeting at which to elect a representative.
Thank you, Terry.
Second.
Thank you, Julie, for the second. Any further questions, comments, or concerns on the IAC employee organization reorganization? Okay, hearing no further questions, comments, concern on the Insurance Advisory Committee employee organization motion. Which is adding our new EMT union and dropping our non-union employee by 1. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes, and I did want to say great job for all the clarity. It was very clear what they worked on. So thank you.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, Adam, Holly, and Tom for doing the research on that. I echo what Terry said. It was quite clear and well presented.
That Holly writes a heck of a memo, I gotta say.
She's had a little bit of practice. Okay, thank you very much. Tom, you're all set?
I'm all set.
All right, have a great evening. We'll talk to you soon.
Nice to see you all. Bye-bye.
Night.
Okay, next item this evening is item J as in Juliet, action related to approving the annual election warrant. And Adam looks like he's going to go ahead and share his screen.
So this is sorry.
Nope, I was just going to say, as present, it's pretty much as presented in the packet. Adam, go ahead if you need to clarify anything.
Town clerk brought this in time for the meeting. This is something that we need to approve, and everything's right on here. It's pretty much self-explanatory.
Okay.
And just for the viewing audience to see. Of all the
where it says 1 member, Narragansett School District Committee, Phillipston. Why? Could you remind me why that's on our warrant?
That's just the way it's always been.
Okay.
I could get back to the town clerk and ask.
Oh, all right. So because both towns get
representatives.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Julie.
I move to approve the election warrant as presented and for the board to sign.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Adam or Holly, is there or I'll ask Julie first. Julie made the motion. Well, she can make the motion. Never mind. I withdraw that. I know you're up for election, Julie. That's why I was going to ask the question, but you can make the motion. All right. Anyone have any further questions? Go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just going to say, because this is on here, then the warrant next, so we'll need all you folks to come in tomorrow morning at some point, or
yep,
early
I will
today,
definitely be in
because I'm
tomorrow.
going to transmit at least the warrant off to the advisory.
Got it. All right, on the motion to approve.
Adam, don't push your luck.
On the motion to approve the election warrant as presented and for the board to sign, how would you vote? Julie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Good luck. Good luck to all. Okay, next item on the agenda is action related to the approval for the final annual town meeting warrant. Thank you for bringing it up on the screen.
If you want me to, I could go through this.
I'm
Or
sure the board has, we've gone through the warrant a few times. We could probably, instead of going through each item, does the board have any immediate questions of the warrant, or how would the board like to go through? Do you want to go through each warrant as just a, like a whether it's a public reminder, or how do you want to proceed? By question or by article? Any preference?
I'll volunteer by question. I did have a comment. I don't know if I should save it till the end. I'll have to think about it. I might make it.
Go ahead, Terry.
Well, last week when we went through the last meeting, we went through the budget and to adopt and approve. I was having horrible audio issues, and I was signing on and off, and I missed when Adam listed the 4 things we were voting on in order to make it easy to separate it out to Tim, so I abstained. But I would have voted against all of those, but I missed so much. Finally, I ended up putting it on Channel 8 and trying to balance it out, and catch what I could, but it was just a horrible meeting for me, and I didn't want to mislead anyone on that. So that is the only reason why I abstained last week. But since then, cable upgraded me to 800 bandwidth and gave me a new modem, so I'm good to go.
well, thanks,
again,
Terry.
thank you.
Thanks, Terry, for your support of the budget. I mean, it's right here on the screen, Article 19. It would be within the warrant. We're talking about a 0.5% increase, not even $50,000 from last fiscal year's original appropriation. Quite frankly, I think we're in a pretty good predicament. We are cognizant of our out years. We've put together a 3-year plan. We're putting money away into some other accounts, as you can see up here in our reserves, into our stabilization accounts, our CapEx, and our OPEB. We'll be with our stabilization at almost $1 million, a little bit less, but we're getting there. And I think there's a lot of positive things to be really focused on. And I think we've done a great job going through the budget with both the select board, and I thought we were very kind to the advisory committee to work for them to bring up their suggestions there. And I think we're continuing in the right direction. And Terry, I really appreciate your kind words of support. Means a lot. And I think that's pretty much all I got on the budget. I think we've talked enough about it, quite frankly.
And for the rest, go ahead, Terry.
Well, I did watch both advisory committee meetings, and I also had help. My son's going for his MBA, and some thoughts that I had is sometimes we go down rat holes and miss the bigger picture of getting the budgets accomplished. It's 0, and I know that it is imperfect, but it's kind of like penny wise, pound foolish. You focus on the wrong things too much, and you miss the deadlines, and it's important to get it to the taxpayers for them to vote.
I agree with that, Terry. I've been watching when I can. And it was kind of like a segue to what I was going to say to the board. We already know a lot of the things because we've been reviewing the warrant. We know it. And if the community's watching tonight to say, oh, I want to go through each article, you absolutely get to go through that with the advisory committee's pre-town meeting and have questions and otherwise. Basically the board and the TA work to get this warrant together. It gets published and the town has it for its inspection and consumption prior to annual town meeting. That's why I offer it to say, let's go by question or otherwise, because we've been through these things. So I will jump, Adam, if you could go page 3 of the warrant, just a little bit of housekeeping. Grammar, from a grammar or flow perspective, I forget what it's called. Maybe I know Tim's going through a lot of writing right now. Where Article 4, it seems like it's a orphan. I think it's called an orphan at the end of a page. If you could just do a page break, if this is the final version, if you could do a page break on Article 4, so it appears on the next page, so it's not an orphan, just from a grammatical point of view.
You know, it's actually funny. Holly said the same thing.
See, Tom knows she's.
And I said, that's fine. No, don't worry about it. The board's not going to mind.
And you're going to have to take a look at our page 5 as well. Article 9 title is also an orphan.
There's also a spelling mistake on page 9 under Article 15, Disability Commission. It says on the first sentence, on the second line of the page, section HA, relative to the establishment of a commission. And instead of on disability, it says on disability.
Yes, that was one of them I caught when I sent it out to you. On the final one, Terry, we did fix it. A good catch. I noticed it when I was going through.
Okay.
Are there any more of those other ones that you wanted to push off?
I didn't see any, just those 2 that I mentioned, but if like, as you're going through for that final, page 12, Article 24 is an orphan, the citizens petition.
Okay.
I wanted to point out because I believe it was a subject on the advisory committee last night. I know, Adam, you foot stomp it a lot. We've got our capital budget, Article 17, and then Article 18 is special articles. They are separate. I know that the acting chair last night was trying to specify that. Yeah, I think the word accountability was properly used, that we're basically, when we're using the money to appropriate items. So even if it's on the list, I think that the discussion was, it should be within the budget of the department. Well, if they have the money available and they've requested it, but it's a below the line, it was not considered by capital. However, it's getting put on the town warrant, annual town meeting warrant as a special article. So I like the arrangement of that. And I agree with the acting chair last night that accountability is a good thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know there's been a lot of discussion and the board suggested that we break up the capital budget rolling stock and improvements from the special articles to show that clear delineation.
Article 22 confuses me a bit. Is it required?
Article 22 was a suggestion. I think we've heard a lot about line item budgets. I think by us putting this forward and having a vote taken, non-binding question of the omnibus form, this can put that issue to rest. I think we've heard enough discussion on line item or other various forms of budget, but I think the town would be comfortable, and I think putting this in front of the town meeting and to have them adopt this will put that issue to rest moving forward. This was a suggestion by Select Board Member Bennett as well.
But if it doesn't change Article 2, subsection 28-7, or if it does, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If it doesn't do that, then it's just asking for discussion, but like the article says, it's a non-binding question. Is he just eliciting has he asked for this just to elicit a discussion? So we wind up having a feeling for the assembled members that come on that issue. I mean, what's the purpose? I'm not saying, I just wanted to understand it going into it, because it says right there, submitted by the select board. Well, for the select board members that are on tonight, I just want to make sure that it's understood that this will generate discussion. I don't mind having that discussion. I think that the budget process that we have right now, it works well. And in terms of the budget countdown, the involvement of staff committees, the joint session that we have, I think it's all adequate for how we present the budget and really the business of town. And I think we've talked about it before, that a line item budget, that's why the advisory committee exists, to be able to ask those questions as the financial gurus or appointed members of the community that have an interest in that, rather than having it drag out for hours, days, and weeks. If you do it, I mean, the advisory committee is on their third meeting going line by line at this point. I know that they've had some discussions about that. Some discussions, or rather arguments. I'm very comfortable with the budget process that we have right now. I know that I listened to all of you during the process. We're seeing the fruits of our labor, right? So we're identifying the labor here. We're seeing the fruits of our labor by using this process and being engaged. I'm all right with it. I just needed a little bit of discussion and explanation for it. Does the board have anything else they wanted to talk about with Article 22? Go ahead, Julie.
Well said, Mike. I was questioning Article 22 myself, and I totally agree with your statement tonight.
Thanks, Julie. I don't think it's bad to have discussion, town meeting. And, another thing that Jeff had brought up was reading out the articles. The more I think about it, we're not talking about reading War and Peace. We're trying to make sure that the people that devote their time to come out there understand, we can orchestrate a good town meeting and make sure that everyone there is fully apprised of what, that. I think Bev said it in their advisory. She said it was the worst town meeting ever. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, the 100% statement that she had, but I understand the frustration of, or any article there too, using the jargon or otherwise to basically say, hey, if you're reading the guide, we're going to vote on the thing that you're reading right now. So between Article 22 as a discussion and reading out the articles, I think that we'll wind up having a better town meeting this time around.
And we have a very long voter's guide with those anticipated motions.
Good.
So
I didn't have any other issues. Everything made sense. You know what? I do have one more issue. Article 13. It is on page 7. Mass General Law, Chapter 41, subsection 108. All elected officials' salaries are listed. I know that Jeff has mentioned this in the past. I've done a lot of reading. I've looked at our own bylaws. I've looked at the special article that adopted the light and water, or actually it was the water under the light department. I don't understand if as a community, a municipality, if we have elected members and they are being paid, why would the under 41 subsection 108, why would the town not get a chance to vote or at least see. Article 13, or the salaries of elected town officials, generally has not been a controversial article. The only thing that's been controversial since I've been in town is people, when we put the stipend for the Board of Selectmen back, that's really the only one that was controversial. And, it was at least well talked out. So if we have light and water commissioners who are earning a salary like the sewer commissioners are, I don't understand why they would not be on this, nor would I understand why they would object if they are watching or they hear about this meeting. I don't understand why they would object to it when everyone seems to be, by and large, happy with the services that they get from the light and water department. Really don't hear a lot of complaint. It's mostly good things. I know between Ron, Tom, and John, I've had nothing but great working relationships with them. I don't know a lot of the commissioners, but if they are elected members, and this isn't a municipality, I get that they, all of the authority that we had as a town was, given over to them. I read through the special articles and otherwise. I just don't understand why we don't have their salaries there.
And I think that's something that we should bring up at some point and have a motion at a select board meeting, and I will then make sure it's there in the future.
Yep. This is submitted, Article 13 is submitted by the select board. So this is where the discussion needs to start. I would like to extend an olive branch if they're watching right now and they're, pulling out their hair and their top has blown. I apologize for that, but 41108, I know that Jeff has gone through it quite a bit. I've tried to look through to say, here's that special thing that we haven't read, why it's not included there. It seems to me that it would be a good place to list everyone that's elected that's earning money from the town, taxpayer dollars or ratepayer dollars. All right, Adam, I'll accept what you've got right now.
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. So,
okay.
But I just think procedurally, I think at a meeting, we should make a motion that be the case moving forward, and then instruct me to do that.
Okay, setter of our agenda, make it happen. Julie, go ahead.
I'll even know.
Just a quick question. Can we make that happen before the warrant goes out? I mean, why can't we just do this? Why can't we make a phone call and do this? Because everything that Mike has said has come up in the last two.
Yeah.
It's come up in the last 6 years. So my question is, why can't we make that happen?
Adam, if you want to take it offline to see if, what the feasibility of making that happen, I would say the next time we wind up seeing in Article 13 or setting the salaries of elected town officials, we would have had this figured out. I don't want to let it go any further, Julie. But as far as what we've got in front of us, I'll take it offline. If the other board members are okay with that, I'll take it offline with Adam and we'll see what we can do. But I think everyone, the intent is to encompass that.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Julie. Any other issues with the warrant as presented? I'm done. That was the last thing that I had. Great. Hearing none. Love to hear a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the annual town meeting warrant as presented and for the board to sign.
As presented with corrections?
With corrections, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie.
Second.
And I have a second from Tim. All right, I have a motion from Julie, seconded by Tim. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? I lost my YouTube feed for a second. Hang on, let me see if all right. I do have some YouTube questions, or actually just one. Mrs. April Cover has a question. How can we push forward with this town meeting and the approval of the budget when the advisory committee is still reviewing and questioning big line items? Thank you for the question, April. I can answer that. We've approved the budget. The fact that they advisory committee is still having discussions is a run up to their pre-town meeting. They can have discussions, but they don't set the warrant. The select board does. And then this per their bylaw, they wind up making their recommendations coming out of pre-town meeting and then published for consumption at the annual town meeting. So we kind of separated out in terms of the joint discussion when we actually had two meetings. We had the 9.5 hour Zoom meeting a couple Saturdays ago, and then we had a follow-up meeting to answer a couple of outstanding questions. With that, at that point, they had what they needed to be able to proceed. They're going to need this warrant in the budget that we approved last meeting, but that's the process at this point. They can be in discussion, but their chop at it, if you will be their pre-town meeting, which someone correct me if I'm wrong. Is it tomorrow or is it the following Thursday? I can look real quick.
A pre-town meeting, I don't think it's till later, Mr. Chairman. They have a meeting Thursday, I believe.
Yep.
15th. But I think their pre-town's the 20, I don't know, I'm thinking the 29th of April.
Okay. But, for anyone watching and the answer to that question, just you could probably stay tuned to the advisory committee for what their process and the date for the pre-town meeting would be. Terry, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I do commend them for their work. I thought Tom did an amazing job last Thursday, and Tony did an amazing job this Tuesday, and that they do put a lot of thought into their recommendations and, going forward. So, we're a team. So I'm listening.
I agree, Terry. And being a former member of the advisory committee, we definitely took our role seriously and understood that, that they're like that legislative branch. They're the people's representatives, and they want to be able to ask all the questions. And I know several of the members will, say all the time, I talk to a lot of people. Good. Then, a lot of the community's concerns can be addressed. Thank you for that question, April. That was very timely. All right. I believe that we're still mid-motion. I don't believe we voted on that. I think it was made by Julie and seconded by Tim.
Correct.
Any further discussion?
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chair. And it feeds back into the Article 22, watching last night's meeting, and then I had to step away to answer an emergency call. And when I came back in, there was a lot of confusion on what constitutes a level funded budget versus a service-based budget. And then a level service base came up, and I was scratching my head. I went back and watched it again this morning. So I think Article 22 will just help clear that confusion.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, on the motion to approve the annual town meeting warrant as presented with corrections and for the board to sign, how would you vote, Julie? I'll come back to Julie. Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
I vote yes. Julie?
Yes, I apologize. I had to step away.
Oh, no problem. Okay, that is a unanimous vote for the town meeting warrant. Adam, I will get offline with that other question that we had talked about. All right, next up on the agenda, we have one we have two more items, but I think we may take a vote to table that last one because it was brought forward by Jeff for discussion. Last item that we have tonight, it's a large part of your packet, but it'll be a short discussion tonight. Had a discussion with Adam. This is action related to the financial management review update. Adam, take it away.
So this centers around our 2009 financial management review we had, and they came out and suggested that the town go through and the board, I believe it was last year or so, for them to come back, the Division of Local Services, and do a review or an update on the progress we made. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I believe we could be very proud of the results of this. I mean, we completed or made progress on over half of their 22 recommendations. They did commend the town for the financial progress we've made, despite the fact that we went through difficult times. They did mention the report how much the town struggled from fiscal year 2012 to 2016, and the lack of the struggle to provide the stable leadership and financial stability. I think it's something that we have some areas to work on, and they mentioned 6 more new recommendations from moving the town administrator weekly reports to monthly, audit and management letter, corrective action plan, notifying the town accountant of turnovers accepted by the treasurer collector, revising the advisory committee bylaw, that's to downsize them to 5 and to refocus their mission, if you will, strategize for succession planning, and adopt a social media policy. I think this is something that we could discuss more in length and maybe perhaps have a presentation. If the board were to vote to accept this report, we could get this up on the webpage. And at some point, I did talk with the chairman of the board and possibly having a presentation. I could reach out to the Division of Local Services and have a representative, and we could go through this report. This took a lot of time. A lot of people are involved with this. A lot of our department heads, I know the chair was interviewed of both the select board and the advisory committee. And I think overall, it's something that we could be proud of. And I think we've come a long way overall. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Of course, Adam. Did you and Adam mentioned to me, I'm not sure if he just said it. I was looking down at the YouTube screen. Not only having a presentation to basically take each one of these things, not in the report format, but a more of a presentation view. But Adam, I don't know if Adam had an idea where he wanted to invite the advisory committee to a joint meeting, or invite them to the meeting when we have that presentation, because I think that they would, many of the recommendations or otherwise, they would be very interested in. And since they participated in this review, I think that would be a fantastic thing to invite them for. So Adam, thanks for that recommendation.
Thank you.
Did everyone have a chance to read through it? It was basically by sections. You had your table section, which ones were complete. There was the narrative, and then basically the recommendations. I definitely think that we need to, once we have the presentation, much like the Terry, I'll get you next. There was one spot that it talked about. Oh, I know it was the corrective action review. So when Roselli company comes through and gives us, hey, here are the things that you've achieved, here are the things that you need to work on. They want to see a structured corrective action plan. I know already that Kelly Pomprion thinks in that strategy. She thinks corrective action, but they want to see a comprehensive policy about that. So I really like to be able to go through that and address each one of these in that systematic way. Now, Adam, they gave us a couple of other items along with this. They gave us, and we'll see that in the presentation, they gave us a template for the capital plan to use it was a best practice from another community. I know that we had talked about that in years past. Our capital planning presentations have gotten very good to the point now that we have this tool that DLR gave to us. I think that the capital planning will actually look a lot better as well.
And the tool is very easy to use. The forms it's going to help that capital improvements committee or capital planning committee out tremendously as we proceed into fiscal year 23, and to keep track of things as opposed to that Excel version that we've been using.
And if everyone got a chance to read through the packet, and if you were able to scan through it or otherwise, just to understand what it was, tonight we're just looking to accept the report back. But basically, Adam and I are promising that there will be a formal presentation in the months to come. I'm sorry, Terry, you go ahead. I forgot to circle back with you.
I'm just excited. I really love this report. It made, they put all the good things that we did first. So of course you get this great feeling of, wow, we did really accomplish a lot, and the past board accomplished a lot, and that we do have work to do going forward that's going to help the town. And the DLS is actually providing tools for forecasting to the town and training on how to do the forecasting, which I know advisory had mentioned. And you were talking about Kelly, but I wanted to give a shout out to Cheryl because she is proactive. She did a daily batch posting, which was mentioned in here. At least one finance department head has begun creating procedure documents informally. The treasurer collector has written instructions on daily batch posting. So that's a shout out. And I can't wait till we approve this and the town can look at it. And going forward, I'm looking forward to the changes. And it's amazing what changes once we adopt it and what changes we can make, how, a lot of the advisory committee concerns from last night were mentioned in here and stuff, and things are just going to be addressed in an organized fashion. So going forward, so that's it.
Thanks, Terry. Go ahead, Julie.
All right, I just had one quick comment on this and then maybe a question. But I'm thinking advisory board and the advisory committee, I'm thinking they're suggesting go to 5 members. And I'm thinking when you look at so many different avenues of this, why would we not want to consider going to 3? And it's just discussion wise. If you look at other committees, you look at other towns, you look at so many different things and how many people live there. My thought was, should we stay at 5 or should we maybe look at the option of going to 3? Any thoughts?
7 to 5. The recommendation was go to 7 to 5. Is that what you meant?
Right, 7 to 5. I'm sorry, but I'm thinking they're recommending 7 to 5.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, should we go from 7 to 3?
No.
Julie
Why?
picked up a good point. If I could jump in for a second here.
Sure.
The state recommended for them to downsize. That's why I think having this presentation and we could get them to come in here would be great, because that's a good question. I mean, they did recommend them to go down from 7 to 5 members, but perhaps should they go down to 3? That's a valid question. And I can't answer that right now, but I think if we were to get them in here, maybe they would agree to that. I don't know. But I do think it's a valid concern because the state did recommend them to go down in size and to refocus their mission.
Terry?
My concern going down to 3 would be availability, because not everybody, and if you've been following along the meetings, Tony pinched hit for Tom, they're not always all available. So going down to 3 might not give them a quorum consistently to get stuff done. So, I like the state's recommendation and then go from there, and maybe in the future go down to 3, but I think small steps.
I just wanted to have it, I understand Julie's concern. I just want to have that representation from the community. I think 3, if we've got 4 villages, I know, Terry, there's more areas of town. I want to be able to have, as they quite frequently will talk about representation and having the people speak. If that's the way that that the advisory committee acts, I don't think it should be 12 or something like that, but I certainly don't think it should be fewer numbers than what our select board is.
I appreciate that perspective. That's a great perspective.
Yeah. I think they wind up feeling empowered that they have people that are further spread out into the community. I think if you get a finance committee that is potentially 2 or 3, 2 people for a quorum, deciding on, wide-ranging things that an advisory committee would, I could be argued for 5 or keep it at 7. I'd like to have more discussion or perspective on it. I would certainly, when we have this presentation, like to ask questions about that, especially, Julie, you talk about other communities. When DLR comes in, if they accept our invitation to come in and actually present this or give us the report in a presentation view, being something that could be controversial, or, I think if people's hair are, set it on fire, that has a potential to really get people riled up. I would like to hear DLR's perspective on why a smaller advisory meeting less times is more effective as a unit. That was my initial thought when I read through. So more to follow. Again, I think the good news and the challenges there. I certainly saw the last couple of pages as challenges to say, let's dig in, let's work to really, if we did so well over the past few years, then that's just a charge to me to be able to say, look, we only have a few more things before this, this review committee is quite happy with how we've recovered as a town. So as a report, I'd love to be able to accept it tonight publicly, and then later down the road, Adam and I can work on the presentation and then scheduling the presenters for that and the audience.
Sounds good to me.
Me too. So, Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the financial management review update as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. I have a motion and a second from Tim. Any further discussion on that financial management review update as presented in the packet? I did have another follow-up comment from Mrs. Culver, in response to the advisory committee still working. It said she just made a comment. It appears as though you are dismissing the advisory board's concern by moving forward. I disagree. I think we're process-wise, we're moving right along. All right, if there are no further comments on accepting the financial review update as presented in your packet and we will get presentations later. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Great job, team. And I really look forward to having that comprehensive discussion with this report as the backdrop. Okay, last item on our agenda for this evening is item M, action related to an article accepting Mass General Law, Chapter 45, Section 2 into bylaws that was going to be presented by Jeff. He had at least asked for it to be on the agenda so we could have it there. And it'll be a further discussion that we're probably not going to get it onto the any discussion getting it onto this annual meeting town warrant, but Adam definitely has it in his notes that this will be any discussion that we wind up having in the coming weeks. This will be an item. This will be an item that we consider for the warrant of the fall town meeting.
Which would go with the loader too.
Okay.
Wants to put on for the fall town meeting.
May I make a motion to table action related to article accepting MGL 45 Section 2 into bylaws to a later meeting?
Second.
Thank you for the second. Any further discussion on tabling to a later meeting?
So next meeting or a later meeting?
A later meeting. Or I mean, yeah, in the next meeting is fine. To a later meeting gives you the flexibility. I mean, Jeff is definitely doing research and is communicating with you on this. So if we're ready for the next one and we have all of our ducks in a row and we've got our roadmap for it, then great. But it gives you the flexibility to either put it in the next or later.
Okay,
any further discussion? All right, motion to table item M from this evening on accepting Mass General Law 45 in Section 2. How do you vote, Julie?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our new business. I can see on our agenda that we have no old business. Before we move into board member comments, Mr. LaMontagne, do we have any executive sessions planned for this evening?
I do not, Mr. Chairman, but we will at some point have one soon.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Before we adjourn, I would love for everyone to have a chance for board member and administrator comments. Julie, please start us off.
Love to. I just had a concern because I recognized it on a few different occasions going into town hall. There are several postings requesting strongly that people that go in, and of course we're not open to public right now. However, different department heads, board of selectmen, personnel, that kind of thing. And there's postings everywhere that asks people to please wear a mask or don't enter the building. I've entered the building on several occasions with my mask, but have walked into department heads and select board members that are not wearing a mask. And again, I just wanted this to be made public that if we have something, a policy in place that we should all follow, regardless of whether or not we agree with it, don't agree with it. I mean, I'm fully vaccinated. And I'm sure other people are, whatever, but there are notices. So I feel like everyone should be on the same page, regardless of whatever their title is, whatever board or committee they're on, to read and respect the notices that are posted at our town hall and don't enter. And I'm a little concerned that they're not being turned away at this point. Because Because it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing, in my opinion. So don't go in. You know, I've had conversations with a couple of people in town hall and said, where's your mask? Well, it's this, or it's this, or it's this, or whatever, you know, and I just feel like if it's posted, we all need to try to walk in with the respect for the people that are working there, with the respect of the fact that it is not open to our public, and just to be like, I don't know how to say it. It's just very frustrating to walk in and see people not following a requested policy, like do not enter this building without a mask. So if they don't, you know, what are they telling the townspeople? What are they showing them? So I would suggest strongly that if this is the policy of the town hall, regardless of who's going to make that decision, someone needs to turn these people away, no matter what their title, position, whatever. Tell them to go away. Because really, we need to follow this. It's very disturbing to me that you see some come in with it, some come in not with it, some make comments of, I don't believe in it, whatever. But again, follow the rule. If you're not going to follow the rule, you're definitely not a good example to the townspeople. If we do start to open up periodically or whatnot in the future, shame on us for not following that and then not implementing it when they walk into a building. And it's very difficult for some of these staff, employees of the town of Templeton, I'm sure, to want to say to someone, excuse me, can you leave? You don't have your mask on. Because they don't want repercussion or whatnot. But again, I think they should just follow the rule. My opinion.
Thanks, Julie. Or another tact is, you know, it makes me uncomfortable that you're not wearing a mask. Please put one on.
Whether you believe in it or not, that's not the issue. The issue is it's a mandate. And whether you're vaccinated or not, to my knowledge, whether you're vaccinated or not, you still need to wear your mask.
Right.
I do, and I see people without it all the time.
So if I could chime in, I mean, Julie did discuss this with me. It is a serious matter. I think for the most part, the staff that work here at Town Hall, when they're in their workspaces, for the most part, they're able to maintain that social distance, if you will. But once, like, for example, like when I get up from my desk, I put my mask on. Same as the department heads that work here. They're pretty good at it. There's been a couple of instances where there's been folks, and I will send out a strong reminder at the department head meeting tomorrow on the importance of wearing a mask when entering town hall.
Thank you, Adam.
I do want to recognize the fact that the employees here at town hall, and Holly could even jump into, because she knows that whenever we move from our workstations, we always wear our masks. Holly, did you want to kind of jump in? Maybe she walked away.
Yeah.
Adam, can I just say that I have witnessed that personally, that I have no issue with the employees that work there. And the fact that they're all following the CDC, they're all following policy of town. I'm talking about other people that have access to town hall, that are in positions that work for the town, that are select board members, etc., that have chosen to say, I'm not doing it. My concern is we need someone to say, you need to leave our building. We need to all follow this guideline, and we're setting a bad precedent if we don't. That's my concern. I have no concern with people that actually work in there. I have concerns with employees or select board members or advisory board members or whatever that are going in there with their key and not wearing it by personal choice, but then not being told to leave the premises.
I understand, Julie, and I just wanted to folks out there that are watching not to think that people at town hall aren't following it, because they are. But I get it, and I'll talk with the folks like town employees.
Yeah, I think the strong message is getting across. I think we've done a fairly good job of, without like naming names, keeping it as non-attributional as possible, but a strong message to say, if you're in town hall, wear your mask. If you work in town hall, you already have a protocol to be able to be at your workstation without one. But if you're moving beyond that, like Adam said, to wear one. Thanks for bringing that up, Julie. Appreciate it.
Would it be too much to have some, disposable masks by the hand sanitizer, just in case?
From a PPE perspective, I know Lori has been great about having things available and on hand.
Already available.
Right. So even if it's a box of masks taped next to the front door or otherwise, I'm sure that Adam and crew will be able to, as the shot across the bow tonight, to make sure that town hall is ready in the event that someone just needs a quick reminder. Hey, put on a mask. I'm uncomfortable without you having a mask on.
Perfect. Totally agree with you on that, Mike.
Thanks, Julie. Any other board member comments? I do not have anything this evening. So if Terry, Tim, Holly, and Adam are silent, then looks like we're coming to the end of our April 7th meeting. Tim, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just real brief. We touched on it, but it bears repeating. We have a lot of folks doing a lot of things, most of it behind the scenes. Our emergency management crew is a great example. No compensation, but a lot of work getting done. And I neglected to mention that when Rich was on, I had sent an email to he and Adam, and it was a follow-up to something I said I would take action on. As I was querying the communities when I used to work out in Franklin County, it was part of the Franklin Regional Council on Governments. The more information I was trying to find, they started picking our brain. How are we doing it? Most weren't aware of these other additional funds that Rich has been able to capture for us. And they're actually wanting to reach out to him. And I'm like, by all means, let me help you connect the dots. So once again, we may be a small town. We may not have a whole bunch going on, but we are leading the pack. And that is phenomenal work. And that's one of the pats on the back that really does need to get pushed out there.
I agree.
Templeton tough, as hard as we can say it, Templeton tough. We're doing it right.
And that financial management review update highlighted that, and they said you've got to make sure that you retain this good staff that you have. You have to have the right practices, the right conversations, so you're not scaring away good talent, you're retaining it. Good point.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, just off what Tim said, we, as many of you know, this will be my only closing comments. We had the Volunteer of the Year. We received a few applicants, and I will be picking someone, so I want to be able to get some feedback. So if you're in the office, you're signing the warrant tomorrow. I'll share those, and hopefully we can pick someone soon, or pick a group for that matter, and proceed with that nomination and award.
Okay. Yeah, let's stay within the guidelines and the protocol, but fantastic. I'm glad you got more than one applicant. There's some competition there. Terry, go ahead. It looked like you were about to unmute.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. So I just wanted to give a kudos to Adam for moving to Baldwinville and taking faith in us, that we believe in him and his resume and his commitment to the town. And I do hope that my my son-in-law's dad has been doing his job for 38 years as chief procurement officer down in New Jersey. So I'd like to see Adam through to retirement, and Holly's been with us for 8 years. So kudos to her, kudos to both of them.
I appreciate that, Terry, and I think we have a lot of good folks that live in town, and I'm very fortunate to work with such a great group of people, and signing me on for 3 years. I do appreciate that, and all the support of all 5 of you.
He's a Saturday email kind of guy. I love it.
He
Always
worked on
thinking-
New Year's Day.
Right. All right. Any last go arounds? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Oh, moved.
I have a motion and a second, Tim.
Second.
All right. April 28th. Does that sound right, Adam, Holly?
For the next meeting, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
We have a
April
little bit of a
28th.
break.
Yep, a little bit of a break. Thank you for everyone's hard work as always. On the motion to adjourn and seconded, all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye or thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 8:50 p.m. Have a great